All right, guys, welcome in. It's Jay. Um, but I'm gonna do a little video about me today, and we're gonna talk about some of my history and things, and who I am, and try not to stray off too much into other life things and connections to things that I don't want to be talking about. So if that happens, I do apologize. Now, my real name is Jason. I'm not gonna give you my last name here because I prefer not to. Because people on the internet are wild and crazy and they look you up and you're like, well, that's him. That's the guy right there. So I'm gonna let you know my name is Jason. So if you used to follow me on those sides, it's that full name in reverse. So so I want to start off by saying I am 36 right now. I turned 36 in September. I was born in the state of Pennsylvania, and I worked most of my life. I started working a job helping a neighbor under the table at the age of like I want to say 13. So I've always been working. I've always been putting forth the effort I need to into my life. Okay, and I grew up with a very very toxic family. Toxic family I had to grow up with, and my father wasn't toxic. He was a very my father was very, he was the one who pushed me to finish high school. Other than that, I probably would have continued to go to high school and finished it out myself. Some people they give up on high school, and I had seen that a lot in my life. So I wanted to be the first one to finish high school. I had a lot of goals in my life, and finishing high school to change the way the family was my goal. All right, so I finished out high school, and I ended up going to work because that's what I thought was beneficial for me. I also lived my life, you know, lived my life having fun, but in school, I studied a lot about computers and I was a fan of art back at school. I also really, really enjoyed music. So that was another part of me that I really, really, that a lot of people don't know about me. And I also played a lot of video games in high school. So that's why I have Retro Time. And if you could check that out, you can find out I'm still playing video games to this day as a hobby on the side. So I don't go out and do things, that other people are doing right now. Because, when you look at it, the full grown adult male is going out drinking, doing drugs normally. I'm not the type of person that goes out and does all that. My collection of games back here is an important hobby to me. It's better than buying guns or something like that. And building PCs is another thing I do in my free time, but we'll get there later. So I finished out high school. I got to working. I tried going to college, so I have a little bit of art under my belt that I do from time to time. You'll see it in my work here on YouTube, or you'll just see it on my other channel. My other channel has more art on it than this channel does, and this channel is eventually going to change. I want to give it time. But yeah, I finished high school. I went to an art college, um, and you know, I didn't do well. So, pretty much, I had friends and I want to say family at the time. So I had growing up, I was always playing games. Games have been a big part of me, and that's why this is all back here, and that's why Retro Time is created. But growing up, there was a lot of you know, growing up in school and all that. There was a lot of me like enjoying professional wrestling. Me and my friends, we were out in the backyard, we were sparring and stuff like that. So it was a lot of fun. And I, you know, I had always been this outgoing person. An example of that is me doing YouTube right now. It's probably the most outgoing thing anybody I know can do. In my life, there are not many outgoing people who get on stage and perform for people. So when I'm doing this is just me being outgoing, but in a different way than most people would do. Most people I know, they're so busy trying to write music and trying to get into the music industry that it falls apart on them. And they don't keep trying to pursue it because they're so busy trying to say that they're the best, and then they give up on every single thing they once dreamed of becoming a musician. And for me, I do this on a free time hoping this one day takes off, and people do notice me doing this. But let's go back again to my life. So yeah, I finished high school. I grew up going to college, like I said. Um, I learned a lot about art in college, and there were a lot of different artists that I genuinely didn't know about until I went to college, and then I learned more about the art scene. Well, me being the person I am, I had a relationship at the time that fell apart, and I was big on wanting to go to New York City. So we would go to New York City every week. Me and the person I was dating at the time, we'd go to New York City. We ended up like, just going there quite frequently. So I know a little bit about New York style lifestyle and, well, city lifestyle and regular, like, out towards the mountain lifestyle. So, um, but as I had been to New York so many times, I wanted to actually go there. So I tried taking college up there a second time, and boy, that was a disaster. I ended up going homeless. I was homeless for like a month straight, and then I decided to go back home. And it's like everything was working against me. And what I noticed this thing about me, that when I go to do something, just everything works against me. Well, not everything. Some things work out for the best. There's sometimes things just absolutely work against me. So it puts a damper in my plans sometimes. And as you can see, that's why I'm here now working on this channel, because everybody just worked against me, wanting me to not wanting me to do very well on it. And that last channel, I will say this, I prayed to God for it to do well, and it started doing well because I prayed. And nobody picked up on that. And I kept talking about it before the channel got shut down. That I was on the path to getting back to my life in the way it was. And you won't believe how many people were so busy that last week of my channel trying to disrupt and ruin everything I had going on for me. Because what it is that people that surround me and the people in my daily life, they don't like watching me succeed. They love watching me struggle. They love to hate me, is what it is. And some people, they come around to the idea that we're doing this too much to him. This is completely unfair. This is this, we shouldn't be doing this to this guy. And the moment I see the people disappear, that disappeared a few months before, like disappeared before it happened, after it happened, they all had returned to work. So I think what it was is there were a few people that just did not like what I was doing and wanted it to be gone for good. So they did everything in their power to destroy, destruct everything. And I went out of my way to explain to somebody on YouTube that had been following me that I was doing something. I was doing this for me. I had prayed that this would take off, and I had prayed that I was going to do well. And that's what happened. I started doing well. I wasn't doing anything bad. And somebody out there didn't like me doing it, because that's just how people are with me. That's how people are everywhere, actually. If you're doing something great, they'll give you a hard time for doing it, period, because they don't like it. But I ended up seeing myself have to move on from something that took a lot out of me after that. And that happens to me quite a bit in my life. And you'll realize that as you go through this channel, and I go through this channel, you're going to find a lot of things about a lot about me that I did that just should have never happened, or happened to me, and it just was a bad scenario to begin with. But yeah, going back into my life, I used to skateboard. I used to back and wrestle. I used to be a really, really. It used to be a lot of fun growing up, and then as I've gotten older, people decide to like, things decided to change, and just the fun just kind of seeped away. And this leads me to coming around to this point in my life, and this is why I can explain a lot of stuff to people without, and understanding where people are coming from. Is even if life throws you those curveballs, remember, it's not the end of that point in time. You have enough to succeed on to the next point, even if people don't want you to. If God really wants you to, and you're praying to God and being like, God, can you make this work for me? God will. If God really wants it for you, He will give it to you. And then, provided if people are sitting here trying to ruin it for you, which, again, some people did it to me. you then have to keep moving on and you have to rebuild and everything. So just remember, life doesn't end because something ended. You decide if you give up on that goal. You decide if you give up on those things you want to do. And for me, everything I've ever done in life, I had been through a lot. I had been through a lot. I had a lot of stuff happen to me. And I look at it like this. I'm still remaining strong. And where I'm at now compared to where I was years ago, there's a big difference. There's a huge difference. And it just you sometimes you can't believe you are where you are right now, but you're here now because sometimes the people around you aren't for the best. And you got to remember that sometimes you got to pick and choose who you want in your life just for you to move on and have this better part of your life. And with that said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that was enough to tell you a little bit about me, but I'm going to go deeper into all this, but there's a lot about me that you just learned. I'm a video gamer. I used to love music. I actually used to play instruments. Um, I lost a lot of things along the way. But this is me as a whole, and this is who I am. And if you like this video and you want to see more like this, by all means, hit the like button. Follow the channel. Hit the notification bell, and you'll get more from me. And right now, there's more to come, ladies and gentlemen. And I don't know what I'm doing next, but holiday seasons are nearby. I'll probably show people what I do for the holidays. I did a video like this on one of my previous channels that got shut down because, God forbid, everybody freaked the fuck out when I went around the neighborhood and looked at lights on my bicycle. Yeah, that's how fucking weird people are. But, hey, you know what? I'm going to keep doing it. And you know what? People are going to have a problem with it. And you know what? Eventually, I'm going to take off. Because right now, I know people know I exist. And I know people, see what I'm going through and see that none of that happened. That everybody's like, oh, well, God doesn't want you to. Well, God wants you to have stuff that you pray for and you put effort into. God doesn't want you to have the stuff that you don't ask for. And when people make the decision of what God wants for you, just remember that's not God. That's people doing that, and that's because people don't like that, and we have to remember that. So, with that said, guys, I hope you enjoyed this here. Subscribe to the channel, please, and also I'll be seeing you next time.